Hi everyone, welcome back to the Godot community. This is the Elementary Art PLC neighborhood. I'm Sarah Rising, moderator for the Elementary Visual Art community. If this is your first time visiting, welcome. If you are a returning visitor, we are going to talk today about one-point perspective, and I'm going to present to you guys some lesson projects, not necessarily a specific lesson, but some project ideas that could spark your ideas for a lesson. Previously, I introduced a video, actually two videos, with the instructions for how to get started in drawing one-point perspective. If you didn't watch that, you can go back and look at that as well. Today is going to be a presentation, and I'm going to show you how you can access links to get these directions. It's really nice for the kids because just like before, they can pause and restart. So after this is done, I will include a link to this presentation, and then I'll also include a suggestion for our discussion. All right, you guys ready? Here we go. One-point perspective, as I mentioned before, can be a little overwhelming, but I think there's so many resources out there that can help us teach this to the children. And there are lots of videos that can help emphasize and will allow for reteaching and reviewing. What I've got here are 4 different ideas with links and what you can do with some of the project-based work within your lessons. When we talk about perspective, how we do it, I like to introduce it by talking about the difference between the 3-dimensional world and the 2-dimensional world and how we are drawing things as they look on paper. So I like to explain it as a window and how when you're looking out the window, how do you really capture what you see out there and make it look realistic? I'm doing this lesson with 5th grade, and we all know 5th grade loves to be able to do things in a realistic way, most of them. So this is really successful once they get the hang of it. And again, I just like to reinforce that you draw what you see, not what you think you see. And then explain this is an example of one-point perspective, and you might talk a little bit about this slide. So the first one, and I've done this before, this is actually some of these are examples of my student work, but we talk about how to design a dream, designing a dream room using one-point perspective. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a room with a bed in it. You can see that some people have set things up a little differently. If you click on this, and I make this available to the kids, there are lots of examples from other teachers and how they use the artwork and student artwork as examples. So that's a good one to come back to. This video, if I click on it, I'll lose my place here. So I'm just going to explain what it is. You can come back and watch it at your leisure. But I think it does a great job. The teacher does a great job explaining to the students how to achieve these realistic looking rooms. And again, I like it because the kids can pause, they can rewind, and it goes in depth explaining how you can do things like doors and having a dresser and making everything look like it's receding into space. I've also included an additional video. Some of my kids have asked to include desks, so I found this one that shows how to draw the table or a desk instead of a bed. Again, one of those ones that you can rewind and start over. The second idea is using 3D words using one-point perspective. And I've also included a video. This is a great video that shows the students how to make the block letters and how to converge those into one point. I like to use marker with this so that they can erase their lines and the marker still stays. But this is another good resource. It does take a while. A third idea is drawing 3D shapes using one-point perspective. And there are a couple of different ways that you can do this. This one is more of an ombre kind of a style. And if you remember from the video I had before, I used the template that has all of those geometric shapes. What you can do to help the students is pre-cut all of your shapes out of cardboard and then let them use those geometric shapes to guide their drawing. I did say in my video that I think it's really important that you use the rulers or the straight edges to make sure you've got all of your lines converging exactly where they should go. And that is what's going to give them the most success in these instances. Colored pencils are great for shading. You might talk a little bit about value and talk to the students about how we achieve these areas of dark and light and where the light sources come from. Kids always love this one. And then finally, the landscape 1-point perspective. You can provide photographs or they can work from memory. I like to let them choose and maybe create a place that's imaginary. This video here that I've included the link for, this is one of the best ones I've seen. I think this teacher does a fantastic job explaining how to do that. And so as you can see, there's probably a general theme here where I've included a video, a how-to video, and then some ideas. So as I mentioned, it's not full-on lessons, but these are more resources to help get you going. Stay tuned for, if at the beginning of the webinars, I explained that we have a whole resource at the Georgia Department of Education of lessons for elementary art teachers. So I'm actually in the process of writing up the 1-point perspective formal lesson that you can refer to and use in your everyday classroom. And I will, in a future webinar coming up, let you guys know and kind of go over how you can access all of those lessons. If you haven't done so already, I highly encourage that you do that. Well, that is the video. I've made it into a bigger screen as well. And that's all I have for this session. So if you haven't watched webinar part 1, that includes the how-to video for 1-point perspective, the introduction, please go back and check that one out, introduce that with your students, and then come back here and find something fun for them to do. I would love to hear your experiences with 1-point perspective. What grades are you doing it with? How are you finding success in that kind of teaching? And then share that with all of us in the discussions. All right, guys, that's all I have for you. I hope you have a great evening, and I'll see you soon. Bye.